I think that's us good to get going this morning. So welcome everyone to the Sunday of weekend 4. Just a wee reminder again of who's in the room with us today. Of course, you have your facilitation team, and just to say you will be in the same groups as yesterday. We also have our evidence lead, John Ward, who's here with us, who'll be guiding us through the session today. And we'll also be joined by Catherine Drebeck, who's here already and who you met yesterday. And also the speakers who you'll be hearing from later today. And of course, they'll be around to invite into your breakout groups to answer any questions that you do have. And we also have the stewarding group and some of the research team with us here as well today. Please do get in touch with the support team if there's absolutely any trouble over the course of the day. I know we've had all sorts from broadband going down in entire villages to devices just suddenly stopped working. So all of that stuff, we are here to help. Just get in touch and we'll do our best. Again, a reminder of your viewing options. So remember, in the top right-hand corner of Zoom, if you want to make things, the videos bigger, if you want to change the way that you're viewing people, you can do that just by clicking the view button and changing some of the settings there. Right, I'm just going to give a quick reminder of what it is that we're doing today. So we are jumping right into question 4 of our work stream. So we're going to start with a presentation that gives an overview of the key issues on question 4, which is how should Scotland support people to change work and tackle the climate emergency in an effective and fair way. Through that, we're going to follow the same process that we went through yesterday for question 3 and for question 1 and 2 in travel. We're going to then explore and understand some of the key issues, problems, and their relationship to climate change. You're going to hear an input on different perspectives on how best the types of changes needed to Scotland's existing support to change work can be delivered. You'll then be exploring the different proposals for change and beginning to identify provisional areas of opportunity for focus for recommendations for that question. So you'll be in your breakout groups. We'll be having a much deserved, I think, lunch break between 12 and 1:30 today. So that's a slightly different time to yesterday, but 12 to 1:30 is our lunch break. And then when we come back, we'll be beginning the process of building recommendations for question 4, again, going back to our Jamboard templates. And then we'll be shifting focus to come back to where we got to with the travel questions. So we'll then be coming back for some review and refinement of questions 1 and 2, those proposed draft recommendations. So again, another packed agenda, but hopefully we'll go through it all at a fair pace for you all. And of course, do flag anything you need to your facilitators in your group or to the support team. So thank you as well for everyone that voted overnight. I think all of the members, besides 2, we're just waiting to come through, have voted. So I will be announcing the results after we've had a little opportunity to crunch the numbers there. So you should expect us to give you an update after the lunch break today. And remember, that's in respect of weekend 7 and also the propositions on fairness. I have one other wee update to give you just before I hand over to John in a moment, which is regarding the Children's Parliament. So some members I know have asked whether or not we'll be hearing from the children working with the Children's Parliament this weekend. But unfortunately, since schools have not gone back and they're not back together, the Children's Parliament haven't been able to continue working together quite as they'd planned at the beginning. But the Children's Parliament are currently exploring with the children what they might be able to do differently. And they really hope that they'll be on track by our next meeting. And I know after the last time we saw their videos that the feedback that the Assembly gave was passed on to the Children's Parliament. So, you know, they did have sight of the things that you've raised and shared and discussed. Okay, so John, are you ready to get us going this morning with question 4?
Fantastic. Morning, everybody. Thanks very much, Kelly. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope those of you who are able to celebrate some sort of indoor heads among us. What we're focusing on this morning is back to the question of work, but with a slightly different focus to yesterday's sessions on work. What we're focusing on today are the skills and the training needs associated with the low carbon climate resilient economy, how we can ensure that we get those skills for the workers who need them, and how we can make sure that the people who are currently working in brown industries, industries which aren't necessarily consistent with Scotland's low carbon future, how we can ensure that those people are able to transition to these new skills and these new jobs and get the new training needs that they have. And people often talk about this in the context, they use the term just transition, which can mean lots of different things to different people, but often is all about this issue of helping people transition from brown industries into green industries. So what we're specifically focusing on, as Kelly mentioned, is the question, which is how should Scotland support people to change work and tackle the climate emergency in an effective and fair way? And to start that off, we're going to have a video from Chris Warhurst from the University of Warwick, who will be giving us a bit of an overview and an introduction to the issue of concept of green jobs and what it really means to think about when we're talking about reskilling people and moving people from brown jobs to green jobs. Thank you very much.
So what we're going to do now is we are going to go into our breakout groups again, and we're going to have a discussion to help understand the issues and to explore some of those key issues and problems and their relationship to climate change. Just to let you know, Chris, who you saw there in the video, will be with us a little later this morning. So if you do have any questions for Chris, of course, just make a note of them in your groups, and hopefully Chris will be able to join you towards the end of your discussion just here. Before we go in as well, I just want to welcome a couple of our stewarding group members who've joined the call since we did the intro. So Doreen Grove and Oliver Escobar from the stewarding group and are on the call with us today as well. Okay, breakout rooms, can we open please? Welcome back everyone. I hope you enjoyed the first of this morning's deliberations. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to hear from 4 different presenters who each bring a different perspective on how best the types of changes needed to Scotland to support people to change work can be delivered. And the speakers are all here with us as well today and will be around if you have any questions when you go into your breakout rooms a bit later. So do bear in mind if you do have any questions as we go along. Just a reminder that unlike the informant presentation that you heard a wee bit earlier, that was designed to set out the context of the problem. So the presentations that you're about to hear now are there to make some suggestions to you about the types of things that those particular presenters believe should be done to address the challenges. A reminder again that we will be using the rainbow template for this session, so that template on the levels of change. So please do use that in a way that works for you. But as we're going through, I do encourage you to take a moment to make some notes in a way that works for you and to note down some key points. We will, as always, have a minute or so after each of the presentations just to pause. So I'll just give you a sec just to get any of those templates or documents ready. And then I will hand over to John, who's going to take us through. John, over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Kelly. Great. So our first presentation is a 3-way presentation between Debbie Adams of the Conservation Volunteers, Deborah Long of ScotLink, and Stacey Allen, one of the Conservation Volunteers trainees. And they're going to be talking about the proposal for a national nature service, which would provide jobs and retraining for unemployed, provides jobs and retraining for unemployed people in nature conservation. Now we'll move on to the next video, and this is from Jim Skee from the Just Transition Commission, who's going to be talking to us about what a just transition might mean, particularly focusing on the oil and gas sector and what it might mean for workers in that industry. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our third presentation, which is a video from Craig McCormack from Green City Whole Foods, who's going to be talking to us about cooperative working and how this can be part of Scotland's future to address climate change. Great, and now our fourth and final presentation this morning is from Sarah Tiam, from the Scottish Council for Development and Industry, who's going to be talking about upskilling, and that'll be education and training needs and how they all need to change in order to enable Scotland to transition to net zero.
Thank you so much to everyone that we heard from there for making those presentations. And just remember that they are around for questions as we head into the next section in our breakout rooms. So the speakers will be available for questions. Just a reminder before I give you 2 minutes just to consolidate your thoughts before we do open those breakout rooms, that we'll be going into this session and we will be breaking for lunch at 12 o'clock. So you'll be heading straight from this breakout from this plenary session, from this breakout session, sorry, into your lunch break. And then we'll all be coming back together at 1:30, and I'll see you again at 1:30. But we'll just take 2 minutes now to consolidate some of your thoughts from all of that evidence and all those inputs, and we'll be going into our breakout rooms.